billionaire dreams. I know niggas who played ball and gave it up for lean.
Millionaire thoughts, billionaire dreams, but my account in overdraft, I'm about to scream.
Rich man greed,
A poor man prayers,
every man bleeds.
but look how God made us.
Too many losses, it's only right that we win. Yeah, I made a promise I'm never gonna lose again.
Under the Fair Use Act, these videos are for information and educational purposes, and I do not own the rights to any of these videos that are shown. All rights reserved to the original content creators.
Yo, what's going on? It's your boy SL550, and this is the Never Gonna Lose Again podcast. Today, man, we're going to talk about a few things. So, Zohran Mamdani went to the White House, and it's just so crazy how, like, you know, when they're by themselves and they're doing their little campaigns and talking shit, you know, they talk so crazy. But when they get in front of the president, they just got to change the tune. I just don't get it. Like, you know, be the same way all the time. But obviously, we know they just put on a show for the people, and that's cool, I guess. But we're going to tap in with RJ Talks. He's going to go over basically the highlights of Mamdani and Trump in the Oval Office. Then we're going to tap in. Before we get into that, though, I want to play an interview that Trump had on Brian Kilmeade. I guess it's like a radio show. So Trump called in. He had a little interview with him. So we're going to play that, see what he's talking about. Because this happened, that interview happened before Mamdani went to the White House to speak with Trump. So we're going to play that. Then I only want to play this segment because I played it yesterday with Jasmine Crockett and her whole ordeal with her lying blatantly on Caitlin Collins' show. But it was a part, so Brian Maxwell did a whole show on it, right? But I just wanted to play a part of his show where he showed, because I want people to see the comparison to Jasmine Crockett when she first came on the scene until now. And it shows, he puts a little thing together where he shows how she, you know, actually is very educated black woman, actually talks proper, but she has just had this whole switch where she turned into this ghetto congresswoman. And so I just wanted to play that just because it's funny. And then we're going to play this, we're going to end it with Hakeem Jeffries on CSNBC having sort of a meltdown in a way, because this is the thing, bro. Legacy media is starting to kind of push back on these Democrats, and they don't like it, bro. They're so used to when Joe Biden, and even post Joe Biden for a while, they were able to get on these news shows and pretty much say anything they wanted and lie. Now that all of this stuff is coming out with Epstein, and all you're pretty much seeing is Democrats who pretty much had a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, and you just see all of this corruption in the Democratic Party. Not saying that there isn't anything going on in the Republican Party. It's just to say that you see a lot more going on with the Democratic Party. And it's kind of rich to see in real time how much they just lie. Because, see, I know they're lying, but there's a lot of people who actually believe the things that these people say. And I just want people to know, bro, you're being lied to on a regular basis from these people. What the hell is this icon? I don't know. Anyway, so we're going to tap in with all that. But before we start, man, make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel, man. I want to go, real soon, I'm going to go back to going live around 7, 8 o'clock. Probably 7, to be honest. But I've been only going late because I had some things to do, and that was just the only time I had. But probably starting Monday, I'm going to go back to going live 7 because I felt like I had more traction. And just plus it's like a reasonable time. People are still up and shit, you know. Going live at 10, 11 o'clock, it's kind of late. So I'm going to go back to my regular thing. But anyway, man, subscribe to the channel. Also, hit that notification bell so you get notified every time your boy go live. You heard? So let's get into this first joint with Trump. This interview on Brian Kilmeade's show.
Thanks so much for joining me. I truly appreciate it.
Okay, absolutely, Brian. Good.
Big meeting today at 3 o'clock with the mayor-elect of New York City that you've clashed with before from afar. What do you expect when you meet him face-to-face?
Well, I don't really know. He's got a different philosophy. He's a little bit different. I give him a lot of credit for the run. He did a successful run, and we all know that runs are not easy. But I think we'll get along fine. Look, we're looking for the same thing. We want to make New York strong. And, you know, there's such a different philosophy. But I'll let you know. I'll let you know over the next year, Brian, okay?
So I know sometimes when you go to sit down with you, Mr. President, sometimes you'll whip out a list and you'll say, did you say this about me in the past? I know Piers Morgan has said that. This is something that might be on your list that he said about you after he won, by the way. Cut 3.
This is not only how we stop Trump, it's how we stop the next one. So, Donald Trump, since I know you're watching, I have 4 words for you. Turn the volume up.
So it was a little bit of a in your face when a time he should usually, after a victory speech, be kind of magnanimous. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I was hitting him a little hard, too, in all fairness. I was, you know, hard to be totally friendly toward the opponent. You know, his opponent wasn't. He had some interesting opponents. But he ran a good race. I don't know exactly what he means by turn the volume up, because turn the volume up, he has to be careful when he says that to me. But nobody really was able. I said, what does that mean, turn the volume up? Does that mean let's go at it?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I mean, he was very nice in calling, as you know, and we're going to have a meeting. I guess we meet at 3 o'clock today. And I think it's going to be quite civil. We'll find out.
But, like, you see, like, how Trump honestly is, you know, he says things that he says, but he's actually always been the same. You know, he's always kind of gave them a little bit of respect, but he still call you a communist or whatever the case may be. But I just like how he just be like, you know, you got to watch how you talk to me. And you'll see the difference. It's my thing. You haven't seen Trump, like, do all of this, the theatrics against them. You know what I mean? So, but you have seen Zohran say, you know, I know you're watching, turn the volume up, you know, all this theater shit. And, you know, just watching him, watch when you see him in the White House with him, and he gets called out for things that he said. And Trump is, that's the thing I like about Trump. Trump's just like, go ahead, say it. Yeah, like, he don't care because he know that it's all theater. He knows that it's all politics. And he's willing to play the game. But he also has a level of respect, too.
You'll be the first to know.
I know. We'll see it at 3 o'clock. Will you open up the doors to the press after?
I think so. I mean, it's fine with me. I would think so. He's a politician, so I don't think he has a problem. The one thing I notice about politicians, the answer is always yes, other than with Biden.
So
Biden didn't open up doors to his brain.
There's one thing he does say that probably won't be great. He says, I never go back to the days when Eric Adams would go on national television and open the door for the NYPD handling civil immigration enforcement. He doesn't expect cooperation between the NYPD and ICE. That's got to be disappointing.
Well, we're going to be talking about it. I just can't imagine that where you have hardcore criminals, and this is about criminals, you know, you can make a case the other way, having to do with others. But, you know, when you have a murderer, when you have a known murderer, a known rapist, a known whatever it is, drug dealers all over the place, I can't imagine that anybody wants to keep them. But I'll have that discussion with him today, absolutely.
Yeah, we'll talk about immigration a little bit later, but I also want to talk about something else that matters a lot, and that's that tape that those veterans and Elise Slotkin put out talking about urging, I guess, or reminding our troops that they don't have to obey orders. Listen to a little of it.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
So you get the spirit of it. your reaction was pretty direct. This is really bad and dangerous to our country. The words cannot be allowed to stand. Seditious behavior from traitors, and you wanted to say punishable by death. So people thought that you were saying death to those politicians. What were you saying?
Well, if you look at sedition, if you look at that type of, that's a very strong form of being a traitor. It's a terrible thing to say. I must tell you, I heard it, and I thought it was some kind of a comedy situation. I thought it was some kind of a skit, and because I couldn't believe that they'd say it. And I watched Democrat congressmen and one Democrat senator yesterday on one of the shows. Didn't even want to discuss it. They said, "Whoa, don't get me into that one." They didn't want to get into it. That is a really serious charge. I'll tell you what.
And like I said, too, like, why say it? That's my thing. Why say it? So people could go into the details on what Trump said in a Truth Social post or a tweet, whatever, or what they actually said. Why say it, though? That's my whole thing. Why make a whole video, put all this time into making this video, directing it towards troops and the military, basically saying that you don't have to follow illegal orders as if Donald Trump is doing something illegal. My whole thing is, why even put that out there? So it is treasonous. Because what if something happens and the military is needed, but they're being brainwashed? Even though I don't think they are. I think most people in the military right now fuck with Trump. You know what I mean? They fuck with him. They think he's a good leader. And it was a video that really didn't do anything. It's just the fact of why they did it. Why even put that type of stuff out there? Like, to me, that's not America first, bro. No matter what, even if you disagree with things, come to the table with policy, legislation. Like, come to it with something better. But they don't. Everything is literally, I just got to go against Trump, talk about Trump, make Trump look bad. That's it. And every time they do these things, it backfires on them. Every single time, bro. This whole Epstein thing, I know they wish that didn't even, like, I know they're regretting that with the whole Epstein thing. Because now it's coming out and they're going through these files and it's making them look bad. But we'll get into that.
What they said is, and it was, I mean, I don't know about the modern day things because, modern day is a lot softer. But in the old days, if you said a thing like that, that was punishable by death.
Yeah, but you're not threatening them. A lot of people are interpreting there's a threat and there's security.
Well, I'm not threatening them, but I think they're in serious trouble. I would say they're in serious trouble. I'm not threatening death, but I think they're in serious trouble. In the old days, it was death.
Do you worry, Mr. President?
Seditious behavior.
Do you worry
that was a big deal.
Do you worry
Today,
that
nothing's a big deal. Today's a different world. Okay, it's a softer, it's a meeker, milder world. But I will say this: I think what they did is really bad. The hatred is pretty strong. But what they say, essentially, don't follow the orders of the President of the United States. So to the military.
Do you worry that some of your guys are going to say no?
Young privates and young corporals and young sergeants, and they're not scholars necessarily. There might be a few, frankly, but they're not scholars. They don't, study the Constitution, et cetera, et cetera. They know that. So these are people. These are bad people. These are people that, in my opinion, broke the law. Now, what happens to them, I can't tell you, but they broke the law. That is a terrible statement. I can say if I ever said that, and there were a Democrat as president, all hell would have broken loose. And it has broken loose. I have had more calls from people, even Democrats, saying what a horrible thing that was.
So do you worry that someone on the Gerald R. Ford will say, hey, I don't want to do this Venezuelan mission. I don't want to sit out in the ocean. I'm out. Do you worry about them saying, I don't want to go to Chicago and be in the National Guard? I'm out. Do you worry about that?
No, I don't worry about anything like that because I'm a leader and they do as I say. But it certainly is not a good situation. It could happen with certain leaders. It could happen. I don't think that happened with me, but you never know. Look, that was a very terrible. That was a That was a traitorous statement. That was a horrible thing to do. I believe they broke the law very strongly. I think it's a very serious violation of the law. Yeah.
I know Todd Blanche seems to be looking into it. Your assistant deputy, or your
well,
deputy
I think
attorney
Pete
general.
Hegseth is looking into it too. I know they're looking into it militarily. I don't know for a fact, but I think the military is looking into it. The military courts.
Mr. President, this week there's a lot of stories about the FBI investigation into Thomas Crooks. And Miranda Devine had a source that said that he had a huge social media footprint, and that it was mischaracterized by the former FBI director and his deputy, saying it was just anti-Semitic. It was beginning, according to the social media reports, if they're posting, if they're correct, in the beginning they were pro-you. At the end, it was anti-Trump and They have a few threats on about Fox too. Are you currently happy with the investigation into Crooks that your FBI is doing?
Well, I wasn't happy with Christopher Wray, and I wasn't happy with that whole situation with him. But I do have confidence in Cash, a lot of confidence, and the DOJ, and they are giving me reports, and their reports are seeming to balance out. So I have confidence in these people. I didn't have confidence in Christopher Wray. I thought Christopher Wray was not good at the job he did.
So in other words, Miranda Devine said over the weekend that you weren't confident, and Eric seemed upset. But for the most part, you feel as though you're fully briefed if Crooks had international ties.
Well, I wasn't confident with Christopher Wray, but in this group, it's a different group, and it's Cash as opposed to Christopher Wray, and I have confidence in Cash.
Healthcare. I know just like the war in Gaza and Ukraine, you inherited it. Obamacare is not affordable. The deductibles are roughly $6,000. But a lot of your voters are stuck with it, and they're saying, if I can't afford my health care, it seems like Republicans like Katie Britt and Senator Cassidy and Tillis are saying, Mr. President, let's do something with the subsidies. Let's try to help people out. Are you going to start working in a bipartisan way?
Yeah, we do. We have something where instead of the insurance companies getting the money, they're making billions and billions of dollars, and it's lousy health care. They call it the Unaffordable Care Act, right? It is the Unaffordable Care Act. And I always said that. I said, this thing's going to explode. It's no good. And it is exploding, and it's unacceptable. It's too expensive for people. It's no good for the country, but it's worse for the people. It's lousy health care. And I want to give the money that we give to the insurance companies directly to the people, let the people buy their own health insurance, and that's what's going to happen. I believe that there's good support on both sides for that. And Katie's working on it. A lot of people are working on it. Rick Scott is working on it. Many, many senators are working on it. And, we have a January 30th date coming up. I'd like to see if we could do it by then. They're saying, well, let's go another year. And I said, let's see if we can get it done by January 30th. So there are a lot of people, including Democrats, that are working on this. Basically, taking your money, not giving the insurance, let their stock go down. Who the hell cares? They've made a fortune on this. Obama, what he handed to the insurance company, and I said it from the beginning. I said, this is an insurance company scam.
I'm just saying, bro. Like, the things that they're doing, bro, is all things that hurt the people. And they so-called act like they're for the people, but they're not, bro. You seen Barack Obama, if you go back, because obviously people like me weren't in tune with every single thing that Barack was doing. Obviously, it was strictly, he was the first black president, and everybody pretty much voted for him for that. But nobody really is in tune with politics, to be honest. People just care about things being affordable around the board and their families. That's about it. Nobody really truly cares about politics. But Joe Biden made things so unaffordable that people actually started kind of waking up to things that are going on. And so now you have your average Joe, average woman talking about politics on a regular now and talking about different things. And it's a good thing, though, because now people are able to really get information from different people and not just from particular news groups and, get a different perspective and also do your own research always. But it's a fact. What Donald Trump just said is a fact. And I went over it before on the show, the Obama, like, people would text me, comment in my comments and talk about, the whole talking points the Democrats use. But what it all boils down to is that Obamacare only help the insurance companies. It doesn't help the people. And they use all of this language and manipulate you into thinking that it does. And it doesn't. And it's really just hurting people. A lot of stuff that is being put in play for the federal government to get involved with is really hurting the people. You know what I mean? And that's just a fact. I had my boy just hit me up not too long ago. He was talking about, he showed me a post of a chick saying how, in the One Big Beautiful Bill, Trump is taking out, making it to where women, I think the post says specifically women. Let me check it real fast just to make sure. Specifically women and women of color, I think, weren't going to be able to get grants. Let me see. So it said, your president is making it so federal student loans will no longer be available for degrees in education, social work, nursing, and other female-dominated fields. He wants women and people of color out of mid-high-level paying fields and dependent on the mercy of white males. Of course, they always go back to white people. I hate white people so much. It's funny. But anyway, my whole thing is this, right? And I was explaining to him about how everything that Democrats do is to make you dependent on them. Like, how is people of color, women, right? DEI, tell me how that benefits America. It doesn't. It's taxpayer, even with the student forgiveness loans. Tell me how that's right. There's millions of people who've taken out massive debt, had to pay it back, and they did. But meanwhile, you got a lot of people, especially people of color, because they're so, down on the totem pole. They changed, standards on testing, so many different things. I just believe that, they were literally hiring people based off of whether you were a person of color or a woman. Like, Kamala Harris became the vice president strictly because she was a woman and a person of color. I don't see how in your brain you feel like that's acceptable. Like, why couldn't she just be fit for the position? Because she is. But no, they're not doing that. So now you take that into, pilots and all of these other, fields, job fields, and you gotta wonder, hold on. So if it just is not crazy. Charlie Kirk even brought this up, and he said it was racist, even though it wasn't racist. If you're hiring people based off of skin color and based off of anything other than merit, right? Then you got to worry whether the person that's driving the plane actually is qualified. And to me, as a black man, it's disrespectful to think that we're not capable, because that's what they do. This is why these programs are put in place, because they feel as though you're not capable to be able to do it at the levels that everybody else is doing it. So they lower the standards and everything else, put you in a position that you're really not qualified for. You know what I mean? So it's getting off topic a little bit, but they want you dependent on the government in every which way. Your health care, the food you eat, your rent, everything. And I just don't see how that benefits. How does it benefit you? It doesn't. Anyway, let's listen to a little bit more of this, and then we're going to move on.
And it's a scam against the people. And we don't give the money to the insurance company. We give the money directly to the people, and they buy their health insurance. It's a great and fairly, it's a very complex subject, but it's fairly, we've made it a lot less complex. you'd get better health insurance and you'd save a lot of money.
So Senator Cassidy agrees with you. He's an expert, a former doctor, and Rick Scott, I understand it. So in other words, for people listening right now, many of which voted for you, some didn't, that are just concerned about their bills, you're going to do something to help them.
Yep.
That's okay.
We're going to do a lot, not something. We're going to do a lot. We're going to get there. We're going to give them better health insurance for less money. Let me put it very simply. Better health insurance for less money.
So let's talk
You
about.
can't do better than that.
Let's talk about Venezuela. You have this unprecedented buildup in our hemisphere. It's Monroe Doctrine in 2026. They're calling it the Donroe Doctrine. And you basically said, I'll speak to Maduro. He reached out through emissaries or directly. When you speak to him, is the message simply you have to go? Is there any scenario where he stays in power?
Brian, look, you are somebody I have a lot of respect for. Everybody respects you, and congratulations on your success. You're a hard worker, and you do a great job. And you're a friend. I'm not allowed to say that, but you're a friend of mine. You're a great guy, but I can't tell you that, Brian. I'm sorry. I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to tell him.
Okay.
I just don't do that. You know, maybe other politicians do. I can't do that. And then they prepare for that, or unless I want to send a mixed signal, and I don't like lying. But no, I can't tell you what I'm going to tell them, but I have something very specific to say. Look, what they did, drugs are horrendous, and, you know, they're one. But you also have Mexico, you have Colombia. Colombia is horrible in the drug situation. I mean, they have cocaine plants where they make cocaine. It's horrible. Colombia is horrible, and we're going to deal with that. We're dealing with it all. We're dealing with things that nobody else ever even thought to think about. And it would be a lot easier not to do it, but not really, because it's destroying a big chunk of our country.
All right, so I want to move on from this. You know, shout out to Brian Kilmeade, but I wanted to play this real quick because it was based on the student loan thing. I just want to tap into this little short with Anton Daniels. He kind of breaks it down a little bit, just to, like, a little better than what I did. But let's
Department of Education is passing a bill that will make it so as of 2026, unless you have a professional graduate degree, you will not be able to take out greater than $20,500 in student loans per year. You guys, this is a huge deal because as a mid-level, I took out $200,000 to go to PA school. My tuition alone was $120,000, and then cost of living, and then my undergraduate on top of that. You guys, I did not come from a family that could put me through PA school. I have a single mom. I have many siblings. I did this myself because I wanted to become a PA and I wanted to have the ability to help so many others and be a part of the healthcare systems. PAs are not doctors, and we know that. NPs are not doctors, and they know that. But we play such a vital role in the healthcare system. If you want to make change, then make change with tuition. Make it so that there is a tuition cap, not that we are being limited on who can go to school because we're not able to take out a certain amount of loans. I'm so fired up about this. You guys, please reach out to your representatives, make ourselves known, make it so that future PAs and NPs can join the practice and really help bridge the gap in our healthcare system.
So basically what's happening is there's this outrage. On one hand, which I'm doing a completely different reaction video to, people are mad because other people are saying that associate's degrees are not degrees. That's a whole nother conversation, so we're going to address that. The other thing that I've been seeing in the algorithm, because people didn't even send me these videos, I had to go and find out what the heck was going on and why everybody was complaining, because I seen so many women that was mad at reclassification of different degrees in different fields of study. And a lot of it was tied to nursing, medical field, physician assistants, and all of that. And let me tell you why. It's because one thing that we have to do is we have to learn from the past. And the one thing that this administration does is it takes action. So when we seen that Democrats were leveraging, trying to forgive student loans in order to get people to vote for them, what's happening with the Department of Education and many other different things in the federal government is that they're redoing it so that people can basically put in safeguards against themselves, because it's not just these specific fields, but several different fields that are not generating the type of revenue, yet people are taking out $200,000, $100,000, $300,000 in loans, and then they'll come back and say, well, it's the government's fault. Okay, well, the government went and did something about it. They basically put caps and limits on the amount that you can borrow per year in order to go through some of these graduate degrees and professional fields so that you're not handicapping yourself. And they are now reclassifying certain things so that people don't basically shoot themselves in the foot. Now you got people saying, "Oh, I need you to write your representative."
Department of
So I just wanted to play that because my boy was talking about it. He asked me about it or whatever, so I figured I'd play that just to give it better. But basically, they, like he said, they were leveraging, student loan forgiveness and all of this free shit for your vote. That's all it's for, is for your vote. They know it doesn't work, and it hurts you in the long run. You taking out these huge loans on getting these degrees, and a lot of people. How many people have you seen online who got these degrees, all of these degrees, and they can't even use them? So they're putting caps on it. So this post that my boy sent me is making it so federal student loans will no longer be available for degrees in education, social work, nursing. So that's a lie. That post was a lie. And he just said it. He said they're putting caps on it. So you can only take out a certain amount in loans. Not that you can't take out a loan. Anyway, let's move on from that. That was just a little side situation. So let's get into this joint with RJ Talks. Going into Zohran Mamdani at the White House with Trump.
It is Friday, November 21st, and Hakeem Mamdani arriving to the White House, meeting President Trump in the Oval Office. We have the latest, we have clips, the highlights from what happened. Also, 6 Dem lawmakers could be facing seditious conspiracy charges, according to the active U.S. Deputy AG, saying all 6 of these lawmakers should be required to answer for what they did. And how fast all 6 of them reversing course, out doing damage control this morning, and more stories as well from around the country, including what's happening in Dearborn, Michigan. Did you see this? If you didn't, you'll want to.
Protesters.
Jack?
Mr. President, I want to know, one of the policies as well that Mayor-elect Mamdani talked a number of times about on the campaign was shifting the tax burden for property taxes from what he called minority communities to white-based communities and putting more taxes on white people. I also noticed that in your acceptance speech you didn't mention anything about America or Christians or white people in general, and so I didn't know if that was one of the policies that you guys had spoken about.
We focused on affordability. We focused on the cost of living crisis. What I will say is that I am very much interested in property tax reform, because what we see right now in New York City is a system that is so inequitable that it can't even stand up in court. And the President and I spoke about the importance of not only building more housing, but also making sure that regulation of housing is something that is manageable to actually get through and not the cause of yet another weight that we see in our city.
To be clear, you're continuing this idea of race-based property taxes.
No, to be very clear,
That's what you said.
no, the use of the term was a description of neighborhoods, not a description of intent.
So you intend to tax the whiter neighborhoods more?
No, we intend to create a fair property tax system.
So, bro, I love when they get called out on their bullshit. When they get called out on their bullshit. And, that's what he said. That's my whole thing. And then he's not refuting it. That's the thing. So you got to understand that he still wants to do these things. So he has to change the language, make it more, But he's saying, this is what you said. And he said, no, certain neighborhoods. And we know certain neighborhoods happen to have more white people.
Because we want a New York City that is not only fair and equitable, but also one that every New Yorker can afford.
So New York City's mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani, or Hakeem Mamdani as Trump calls him, arriving to the White House this afternoon, meeting with the president, doing so after learning how he must reverse course. That's what he's been told, that he could be about to manage the quickest, most devastating spiral in New York City history if he doesn't. In fact, watch just how quickly Zohran's fallen in line. Watch this.
My administration would be Donald Trump's worst nightmare. I have many disagreements with the president, and I believe that we should be relentless and pursue all avenues and all meetings that could make our city affordable for every single New Yorker. I intend to make it clear to President Trump that I will work with him on any agenda that benefits New Yorkers.
Oh, how things change. We all saw the promises he made. Free buses, free childcare, rent-stabilized housing, freezing the rents at 2 million rent-stabilized housing units, city-built housing, even city-run grocery.
I just want to know how the people that in New York City that voted for him, how they like his change of tune. Because everybody knew it would, like, come on, bro. Like, you got to understand, bro, on both sides, all they care about is your vote. It's a few people, bro, that actually care on both sides. I believe there are politicians in the Republican Party and the Democratic Party who actually want to do good for their people and actually want to serve the people. But there's a lot of them, bro, that don't give two shits. All they care about is your vote, bro. Mamdani is definitely one of those.
Grocery stores, all sounds wonderful to a lot of people. All of it, he said, will be paid for by raising your taxes, something New York's governor said yesterday or on Wednesday. It's not going to happen. She's not doing it. Zohran learning he doesn't have the money to do these things, and if he doesn't reverse course quickly, he was advised, and kiss the president's arse, he could stand to lose tens of billions more in federal funding should Trump choose to freeze it. So what happens? He calls up the White House this week begging for a meeting with the president. Trump, of course, willing to meet with anyone, accepting, and here's what just happened.
But who knows? I mean, we're going to see what works, or he's going to change also. We all change. I changed a lot. From when I first came to office. It's now quite a while ago. It's quite a while. My first term was great. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. We're doing even better now. We're doing much better now than we did even the first term. And I can tell you some of my views have changed. And we had discussions on some things. I'm not going to discuss what they were, but that I feel very confident that he can do a very good job. I think he is going to surprise some conservative people, actually. And some very liberal people he won't surprise them because they already like him.
Mr. Mamdani, came back again and again to what it could look like to lift those New Yorkers out of struggle and start to deliver them a city that they could do more than just struggle to afford it, but actually start to live in it.
And I've been called much worse than a despot, so it's not that insulting. But maybe I think he'll change his mind after we get to working together. Yes, please.
Are you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about...
That's okay. You can just say yes.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Okay. It's easier. It's easier.
So that's what you gotta love about Trump. He just like, go ahead. He don't care, bro. He don't care. To him, it's like whatever. Like he said, I've been called worse. I'm not tripping about it. But you see, he literally was about to say whatever to try to, get up out of the question that she asked. But he's like, yo, it's cool. It's fine. You good. And he's like, all right. So, plus he knows they be capping anyway.
Easier than explaining it. I don't mind.
And Mr. President, I wanted to ask you also about this Ukraine plan.
Yeah.
President Zelensky said today that his country would risk either giving up a partner or giving up its dignity. There's been criticism that
6 Democrat lawmakers could be facing seditious conspiracy charges after urging the U.S. Armed Forces and the intel community to commit insubordination by disobeying orders from the president. Any orders you deem illegal or immoral, they said, you're not required to obey. Really? Is that so? Who says these orders are illegal or immoral?
Each day to keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk. This administration is pitting our uniformed military
and intelligence community professionals
against American citizens. Like us, you all swore an oath
to protect and defend this Constitution.
Bro, that's treasonous. They said that this administration is pitting the military against its people. That's a lie. That's a big lie, bro. When you got all of these people threatening ICE out in the streets, and you have National Guards coming in to assist ICE to be able to do their jobs, that's not pinning the military against its people. So this whole, like I said, this whole video that they made was for what? It's all to just put out, that's all they're good for, bro. Is to just put out lies. That's it. They do it all the time, bro. Every video that I pretty much show with Jasmine Crockett, Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, any of them talking, they can't have an interview without lying, without putting out some bullshit. That's what they do. That's what they do best.
Right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad, but from right here at home.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law
or our Constitution.
We know this is hard,
And that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
but whether you're serving in the CIA,
the Army, or Navy,
The Air Force.
Your vigilance is critical.
and know that we have your back.
because now, more than ever,
The American people need you.
We need you to stand up for our laws.
our Constitution,
And who we are as Americans. Don't give up.
don't give up. Don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
U.S. Deputy Attorney General
Make
Todd
this
Blanche
shit up.
saying all 6 of these lawmakers should be investigated for sedition. They should be required to answer questions about why they did what they did, he said. That's a close quote. Going on to make a good case for this investigation, that there's, he says, more than likely more to this than just some random viral social media video that they just chose to throw together. What was the intent here? What was the reasoning for releasing this video now? These are members of Congress. They know what's allowed and what's not allowed. What they said is specifically illegal. You can't do that. Demanding the U.S. military defy court orders without giving any suggestion of what law or what order they're being asked to violate. Was this in preparation for something? Do these Democrats know something we don't? Were they?
I wouldn't be surprised. Remember, I said these people are desperate. They will do anything, bro. And I mean anything. And that's the scary part, bro. They will do anything at this point. Listen, it may be controversial. I don't care. Just in my opinion, it's not a fact. All I'm saying is I think they had something to do with COVID. It's just too coincidental that Trump is going up for re-election, going against Joe Biden, and all of the election fraud that was going on. But outside of that, COVID just automatically just happens. Once in a lifetime pandemic. Come on, bro. Stop. These people will do anything, bro. Anything to control the people, to have some type of hold on people. Like, it's all it's about, bro. It all boils down to power, bro. Individual people care about, like, obviously it's money, backdoor deals, different things going on, people funneling money, that's of course, right? But the biggest thing overall is about power, bro. Power. And they want control over the people. And they really don't want people to understand how much power that they have. Because we really do have a lot more power than we give ourselves credit for. But we rather, they rather us fight each other instead of coming together on common issues, unfortunately. So I can't say never, but it's going to be hard for people to actually come together on shit.
Briefed on something? All of this sounds a lot like what we were hearing in the days and weeks before January 6th. Is this in preparation for another entrapment plot? Watch Todd Blanche making the case. Todd Blanche, by the way, the current deputy AG. Watch.
Well, the investigation would absolutely be under what their intent was in saying this. And the question, we've all watched this a lot today, and the question you have to ask yourself is, what is their intent? What is the reason that they all went on a video and encouraged young men and women to defy court orders without even giving a hint of what's illegal, without even giving any suggestion of what law or what order they're being asked to violate? You cannot do that in this country, especially if you're a leader. And so what does the investigation look like? I think they should be held to account. I think that those congressmen should be required to answer questions and to answer questions about why they did what they did. And the American people deserve that, and so does President Trump.
President Trump agreeing with this. In fact, Trump going even further, much further, calling these Democrats traitors to the country and that they're in serious trouble. In the old days, Trump says the punishment for this behavior would be punishable by death. Watch what he said.
Seditious behavior from traitors, and you wanted to say punishable by death. So people thought that you were saying death to those politicians. What were you saying?
Well, if you look at sedition, if you look at that type of, that's a very strong form of being a traitor. It's a terrible thing to say. I must tell you, I heard it, and I thought it was some kind of a comedy situation. I thought that it was some kind of a skit, and because I couldn't believe that they'd say it. And I watched Democrat congressmen and one Democrat senator yesterday on one of the shows. Didn't even want to discuss it. They said, whoa, don't get me into that one. They didn't want to get into it. That is a really serious charge. I'll tell you what they said is, and it was, I mean, I don't know about the modern day things because, modern day is a lot softer. But in the old days, if you said a thing like that, that was punishable by death.
Now, since Trump said that, you can imagine what it's been like a bomb went off. The media, Democrats going crazy over this commentary, flipping this whole thing around, blaming Trump now for inciting violence. Do you see how they do this? Somehow they flip the whole thing around. Mark Kelly even saying Trump's putting his life and his wife's life in danger.
For being here. What does it say when the White House press secretary has to deny that the president wants Democratic members of Congress executed?
Well, Kate, it says we are in uncharted waters. I mean, I never expected, after serving 25 years in the Navy, flying combat missions over Iraq and Kuwait, flying the space shuttle, that now I've got to worry about my personal safety and that of my wife, Gabby Giffords, who was already nearly assassinated because of something the president said.
Lies.
Could that be the point of all this? Are Dems smart enough to game this all out? They released that video montage knowing Trump would react like this, and then they have, a 48, 72-hour news cycle of Trump bashing? Look how irresponsible the president is. Look what he's saying, calling us traitors. I don't know. Let me know what you think. In another story, Dearborn, Michigan, the once beacon of American industrialization, of Henry Ford's beginnings building the famous Model T back in the 20s, now being transformed into the epicenter of Muslim America. The city now encompassing an Arab-majority population. Its police force transformed from 3% Arab representation to a whopping 45% today. The city hall is changing street names to honor Osama Sablani. Sablani was the publisher of the Arab American News in Dearborn. He was pro-Hamas, pro-Hezbollah, if you look at what he's written. Watch what happened when this American Dearborn citizen raised questions over this renaming, honoring Sablani. Watch what the mayor of Dearborn told this concerned citizen.
Bombed the embassy in Beirut, and including many Americans. So I just feel it's quite inappropriate.
You are an Islamophobe. And although you live here, I want you to know as mayor, you are not welcome here. And the day you move out of the city will be the day that I launch a parade celebrating the fact that you moved out of the city.
Scary stuff. Last month, right before Halloween, the FBI disrupting a terror plot in Dearborn. The feds foiling this plot to deliver material support to ISIS.
The FBI stopped a potential terrorist attack in Michigan, according to Director Kash Patel. The FBI has arrested 5 young people who were allegedly planning a violent attack over Halloween weekend. Arrests were made this morning in the cities of Dearborn and Inkster, just outside of Detroit. Officials say the group has a connection to ISIS extremism, and law enforcement officials are telling NBC News the suspects had access to guns.
So shout out to RJ Talks as always. If you're not tapped in with him, make sure y'all go ahead and tap in with him. I wanted to so y'all know how I feel about Islam. I'm Muslim, but at the same time, I don't agree with everything every Muslim does. And I'm conflicted because I be keeping things on just a scriptural type of time, but you got to understand that there is long-term beefs between countries in the Middle East, in America. And in the middle of that, which started a lot of that, was Israel. So there's a lot of hatred going on. So of course there's a lot of extremist Muslims who do things that don't represent Islam, bro. So I have my conflictions on that stuff. But the thing that I dislike is I wanted to play this video. This is one of the Muslim brothers, Uthman Ibn Farouk from San Diego. He's from America, born in America, ex, street dude in the, was in the streets and stuff like that. Been to churches, been to Kingdom Halls, all of that stuff. I relate to him a lot in the sense of, like, I was born Christian. We live in America. Most people are born Christian in America, right? When you get older, you tend to question a lot of things, even outside religion, right? I don't really like talking about religion too much on the show because religion is a tough topic to talk about. But the thing only reason why I'm bringing this up, because he played that little short clip, cool, understandable, but you got a lot of people like PBD, Officer Tatum, who else? LFR family, Cartier family, not so much, but they're Christians, but they don't really talk about it too much. But I've seen Officer Tatum, PBD, and these are all guys that I respect, but I've seen them multiple times, say Islam is a threat to America. My thing with that is, if you go to the Middle East, they would say America is a threat to Islam, right? And if you logically think as a human being, you would say to yourself, that's understandable, right? So I just look at things differently. Now, strictly what I want to keep it on is scripture, things in that nature, right? The reason why I can't respect things that PBD, Officer Tatum, and these people talk about is because they're biased, right? I can respect you if you actually do your due diligence, right? I'm playing this short clip because this guy, Sam Shaman, whatever his name is, he's a Christian. He hates Islam, like a lot of these guys. And he went on PBD and, obviously was trying to prove that Christianity is the truth and all of that stuff, which I'm not going to get into, which I could, but I'm not. And it's corny to me because, and I hope PBD does this because I respect PBD and I really hope that he does. But Uthman, I've watched this guy Sam go on the One Message Foundation, which is, he went to San Diego, where this guy Uthman Ibn Farouk be at, where they give dawah. A lot of people come up to the table, want to debate him and stuff like that, and he does. He had the guy Sam, which he's going to show in this short clip, come there with a guy named David Wood, who is also Christian. He'd be on stages. He does a lot of, I think he's a preacher. I think they're both preachers. I could be wrong. I don't want to say that they are, but they definitely are Christian. And Uthman Ibn Farouk, every time, and I'm not being biased, kills him in debates. So I hope that PBD sets up a debate with them too, because last time the guy Sam ran. But anyway, let's just play this short clip and move on from this. But it just bothers me because I know if I ask Officer Tatum, right, and you got a right to believe whatever you want. That's totally fine. I have no issues with that. But my issue comes, we live in America, bro. Islam has been the number one religion that in America we're told to look at. They're, terrorists and all of these different things, right? But we look at it from an American lens, which is fine, cool. My thing is, if I ask Officer Tatum, if I ask PBD, if I ask all LFR family, if I ask any of them, did you at least read the Quran? Did you ever just read it? Because I've read the Bible, I've read the Quran, I've read the Torah. Have you read the Quran? I guarantee you all of them will say no, because they didn't. So for me, you can't speak on something you don't know about, and that's my issue. that a lot of people speak and make comments on things that they don't know about. And then they'll play a clip that has nothing to do with Islam and has everything to do with an individual group of people who say they're Muslim, claim to be Muslim, might be Muslim, but doesn't mean they represent Islam. And I just wanted to play this because I hope that this actually happens.
Sam, you're a coward. You're nothing to us. You were in person in front of me and you ran from me.
Okay. We don't think of the persons. There's a hypostatic distinction.
You talk a lot when you're alone at home, sitting in your bathroom or your living room live streaming, or if you're sitting on a podcast by yourself. PBD, why don't you invite one of us to be in front of him? Because you knew he'd run.
Hasamu, come. Your description of Sifat.
Come, man. You look like you're bored, man. Videos are online. I called you and you ran like a coward. Because you only get brave when you're by yourself, when you got your mute button. PBD, it was unfair for you to put him on by himself without us being there because you know you're a coward and he's a coward. I'm calling you out again. I called you out in New York. We're here in New York against a challenge out to all the Islamophobes. Where they at? They just talk. I called you out online.
Message for Sam Shamud.
Sam, where you at? Man, you keep talking online, but when you saw me, you ran.
I called you out face-to-face in San Diego.
Sam, come to my house, eat food with me, drink tea. We can sit down. So,
my right. Sam, I'm calling you out again. We're going to set up a live stream. Come on, debate us. No Muslim is afraid from you. You ran before, and you're going to run again.
Sam.
I was waiting for these guys to.
All right, how you doing? You mind it? Should I call you Hassan? Give me a hug.
Sam.
So I just wanted to play that real quick because it is, I ain't gonna lie, it bothers me a little bit. Just a little bit, not a lot. But it bothers me a little bit that you got a lot of people who speak on things and they're biased, and that's fine, it's cool, you know. But it isn't cool. Like I like Uthman, like, you know, I love all Muslims, I love Christians, I love all sets of people. You would never see a Muslim disrespect Jesus. You won't. But you'll see Christians do it. But that's another story, right? None of that matters. Doesn't matter, bro. I just don't like a lot of these podcasters. Stop speaking on things that you don't know about, bro. Please. Because, you know, I live in America. I'm from America. I love America. But at the same time, I do have, you know, I do understand history. You know what I mean? I'm able to look at things. And America doesn't always make the best decisions. We know that. So don't act like America is angels, right? And all Muslims and everybody in the Middle East are terrorists. Because that's just not true, bro. Islam is a beautiful religion. It's things that I like about Christianity. I've been to Kingdom Halls. I've been to churches. I've been to black churches. I've been to Catholic church. I've been to temples. I've been to, you know, I study religion. I love history and I love religion in general. You know, it's nothing for me to open up a Bible, a Quran, or a Torah. I'll read all of them, and I've read all of them. I'm not a scholar. I don't claim to be one. That's why I don't speak. I'm not a scholar in any one thing. I'm a student of knowledge, period. But I just really hate seeing, it's like, especially now, and they use Mamdani as like he's the, you know, the savior of Islam or something, when he's not. He does a lot of things that Muslims don't even believe in at all. So how can he represent Islam when we don't even believe a lot of things that he stands for and that he be trying to push? But anyway, man, he's an extremist. Don't conflate extremists in any one religion with the whole of that religion. You have extreme Jews. I said this before. Extreme Jews, Muslims, Christians. They have all used the Bible, the Torah, and the Quran to do, you know, things that are evil. So don't conflate that with the whole of Islam or Christianity or, you know, Judaism and things like that. Anyway, on to the next thing. I wanted to just play this part of this segment with Brian Maxwell, because he made this little clip of Jasmine Crockett. She's so fake, bro. She be blowing my shit. She's so fake. Anyway, he going to play. I just wanted to play this. Kanan Collins asked us a question. I don't think I played it yesterday, so that's why I just played it. But it was after this that I really wanted to play.
He didn't initiate that chain. Jeffrey initiated that chain, and she took the information. Just like if somebody texts me.
Yeah, but she was responding and saying, you know, what are you talking about? Quick, I'm up next. And then her questions were about Rona. But do you think that was inappropriate? I mean, would you text with someone who is a registered sex offender about what you should ask?
I honestly know that he had never been convicted of any federal crimes at that time.
But he had been in jail already.
He had been
got a
in
plea
jail.
deal.
And my deal is this. The Republicans are constantly texting with a 34-count convicted felon. So if it's okay for them to text him at any point in time, then I'm not going to say that that's right or wrong, especially to the extent that you're talking about kicking someone off their committee. Were they sexting? Was it a matter of her being involved in the pedophilia? No, it was nothing like that. She was trying to understand. Let's say Jeffrey Epstein said, you know what? I have these pictures, these salacious pictures, because I know that the president got down and did these things. Do you think that it would be inappropriate for her to ask about those things if he said he had personal knowledge and it's important?
Why is she bringing up shit that don't matter, though? That's irrelevant. You're bringing up hypotheticals. You're bringing up what ifs. What happened is she was texting Jeffrey Epstein, point blank period. And it's a text, which means she has his number, he has her number, and they were texting early in the morning. She asked him specifically, who was Rona? Is that an acronym? So she was engaging, and then the questions that she asked were directly from what she texted Jeffrey Epstein. It's simple, bro. She was way better off just being like, I made a mistake, and that was it. And I don't agree with it. And just actually separated herself from this Stacey person. But they just want to, I don't know, bro. They just be dying on every hill, bro.
This matters. But obviously it seemed like he was helping her. But I do want to ask you.
And did you see the attitude of Jasmine Crockett?
Seem like it.
That's exactly why. You know, she's trying to run for Senate in Texas because in her district, the people running against her, they're going to blow her out. She's done nothing. She's passed no legislation. She's hardly ever there. She's not even from Dallas. She's from St. Louis. This girl grew up rich, wealthy, should I say, well off. She went to a high school, a K through 12 school, where from kindergarten and first grade is $25,000 a year. She went to a prestigious law school and then got into state government and was handpicked because she's a puppet. And if you've ever heard her speak before she got into Congress and Washington.
And mind you, it's nothing wrong with you being well off and your family being able to afford to put you in the best schools. It's not wrong with that whatsoever. That's big ups to her family, her mother and father, who were able to hustle and create that type of lifestyle for their kids. That's great. It's when you take that very education and then try to downplay it and then, I don't know, come into this whole role of being ghetto. And then it's not you. And my thing is, that's a horrible representation of being a black woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's my thing. Be you. Represent women in a better light that you can. And I would respect that way more.
When she was a state rep, she was kind of talking like a Valley girl.
Absolutely. First of all, it's good to see you in the new year. You know, no one could have told me that when I went down to Austin, now it looks like a little bit over a year ago, that I would be running for Congress. It's just not what my plan was. But what I've always decided is that I would step up when there was a need. Listen, he up there, he's hearing all kinds of nonsense and bullshit. Let me just be real. And we weren't gonna sit for that shit. We wouldn't, you know. But when she called me and said, I think it's time for me to retire, and you're the one that I believe should take my seat, I really was kind of caught off guard. I didn't anticipate that. If anyone knows anything about the Congresswoman, they know. We showed up, and if we had some seats, then maybe we would have been about that life. But y'all know he ain't got no sense. So please give some love. This took a little bit of coordinating to do, for sure. We got some cool shirts. You know, the congressional seat is over 4 times as large as my House seat. And I was just starting to get into the rhythm of doing constituent services and things like that. We got Madam Williams, who just happens to have the honorary seat. It's not even honorary because she's holding it down, y'all. But the legend himself, John Lewis, that is the seat in which she currently serves. So she honored his legacy. This is the message that she wanted to send today.
But the moment she got in Congress, like somebody said, hey, listen, we need a black woman to act like she don't have any sense. She can't be articulate. and that, you know, everything she does, she got a neck pop. I want you to play the role of what you think a black woman is, because the people that you see the media highlight, those black women, they do that on purpose to create a stereotype. My mother, my sisters, my grandmother, my cousins, they don't act and talk like that. Most black women I know don't act and talk like that, but you do have a subset of them that are ghetto as I don't know what, and I'm talking about from 8 to 80. And so she's cosplaying as what she thinks a black woman is. She's just as racist as any other liberal that's always feeling like, you know what, we want to do something for the colored folks. Still use words like that and thinking that, you know, let's give them some welfare. How about that? That'll help them. No, it's stagnating growth. That's what it's doing. But did you see the attitude she caught? Because these folks are catching pushback because the media doesn't want to be wrapped up. Y'all pushed the Trump hoax the whole time. It was Trump, Epstein, Trump, Epstein, Trump, Epstein. And their Trump derangement is so severe. Nobody ever stopped to say, okay, these documents, what's the time frame? And when did Trump boot this man out? When did Trump alert the FBI? Is this going to look bad? Because, folks, it is all Democrats. All Democrats. All Democrats. So now they're trying to spin it. Hakeem Jeffries just got called out, and he did not like it. Every time they step in front of the media, this is dominating. And so now their constituents, do you know how devastated? Because I was trolling. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I was on Facebook, and I'm hardly on Facebook. And when I do go, it's to post stuff about the videos stuff I post, letting people know what's really going on. And you know, you got these liberal freaks that jump on my page, number one, because we have a lot of activity on my page and good conversations. But they came over every day. Tell Trump to drop the Epstein file. Trump, Epstein. They were wrong on Scamala. They were wrong on the border being closed. They were wrong on Trump going to jail. They've been wrong on everything. And so they were salivating for this one. And when it started blowing up, and the Larry Summers and Kathy Rumlers, and then we find out Chuck Schumer took 22 grand from Epstein and all of this stuff. Now I have people literally today on Facebook saying, you know, why is this a Republican Democrat thing? We need to stop doing that.
Yeah, bro, this is what they do, bro. They don't want the truth, bro. They just want to, bro. They just was really hoping. Like, that's the thing, though. And this is why I say, bro, you can't believe these people. They lie so much that they had you believing that Trump was in these files, and now it's, oh, Trump probably destroyed the files. Oh my God, bro, you can't win, bro. And this is why Trump made statements like, you know, it doesn't matter what I do. They're gonna, you know, they're not gonna agree. They're not gonna clap for me. They're not gonna say I did a good job on anything, you know. And he just accepts that and he just moves on. And honestly, that's the right thing to do, because these people are truly deranged. And I feel the same way. And Trump had said this too about the whole TDS thing. Like, it was funny. Like, I forget who she was, but she had made a video like how they do with medicine. They be like, if you're feeling down, you know, take this medicine, and you know, the side effects are such and such, you know what I mean? Like, and they made a TDS joint like that. That shit was funny. But anyway, bro, these people definitely have Trump derangement syndrome for real. It's out of control, to be honest with you. Because I see people, man, and they have a decent following and stuff like that. Like, more of a following than I do. But that's neither here nor there. But, you know, I'll be listening to them. Like, I'll tap in, I'll comment. I mainly be trying to come on. Like, everybody that has, like, a joint where you could call or stuff like that, I try to call. I try to tap in, because mostly they'll have people on that. I'm not saying that I'm, like, well-versed in all of this shit, but I know a little something. Like, and stuff that they be talking about, I just be like, you're talking to somebody that doesn't really even know. So I don't know. They make themselves look good by debating people that may not be informed on certain things. But anyway, let's get into this last segment about Hakeem Jeffries on CSNBC.
Discussions remain at a standstill over subsidies for the Affordable Care Act. Yesterday, the Senate left for the Thanksgiving holiday. Nothing that's planned at this point, so we are still in wait-and-see mode. Joining us right now is House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries to talk a little bit more about this. And sir, can you lay out, without any partisan bent, kind of where things stand right now, just so Americans understand what's happening?
Well, the Affordable Care Act tax credits are going to expire on December 31st. And if that happens, tens of millions of hardworking American taxpayers are going to experience dramatically increased premiums, copays, and deductibles. In some cases, premiums for health insurance will increase by $1,000 or $2,000 per month. This is for working class Americans, middle class Americans, and everyday Americans. healthcare will be unaffordable. People will be unable to go see a doctor when they need one, and that's unacceptable in this great country, the wealthiest country in the history of the world. Over in the Senate, it's my understanding that Leader Thune has recommitted to a vote on an Affordable Care Act extension no later than the second week in December. So there are ongoing discussions that are taking place in the Senate. Meanwhile, unfortunately, in the House, my Republican colleagues have shown zero interest in doing anything related to the ticking time bomb of the Affordable Care Act tax credits expiring. House Democrats have launched a discharge petition to try to compel an up or down vote on a straight 3-year extension so we can provide working class Americans with the same level of certainty that my Republican colleagues provided their billionaire donors when passing the one big ugly bill.
Minority Leader Jeffries, let's talk about that discharge petition. You need 218 votes in the House in order to pass that. You've got 214 members in the Democratic caucus, so you only need 4 House Republicans to have to sign onto it to get this passed. But the idea of saying that this is a 3-year extension instead of a 1 or even 2-year extension has any potential Republicans saying, forget it, this is dead on arrival. That's the opinion of Representative Don Bacon. He's a Republican from Nebraska who has been working with the idea of potentially extending for 2 years. But 3 years, they say, is dead on arrival. So if this is something that you want to satiate, if you want to get done, you are going to need at least some Republicans to come over. Why not start with a 1-year extension or potentially even a 2-year extension?
Well, Leader Schumer offered a 1-year extension in the context of trying to end the Trump Republican shutdown.
Yeah, that's different. I'm talking about what you have now. Let's not go back to what's done in the past and what has not been extended. If you want to get something that has actually done, you need to do something that will have bipartisanship.
You can ask me the question. You can ask me the question. I'll provide the answer.
Answer the question instead of going back.
I'll provide the answer. No. I'm providing an answer in order to provide context. Republicans have repeatedly refused to take yes for an answer. It was a very reasonable multi-year extension that was offered. It was a 1-year straight extension plus a multi-year process through a bipartisan commission to more permanently resolve the Affordable Care Act issue. So having that context is absolutely important, regardless of what you may think.
It's important context to make me realize that I don't think you want to get a deal done. I think this is something where you'd like to see the rates go higher and allow the Republicans to hang themselves with that. Is that the answer?
That's absolutely politics? That's absolutely a ridiculous.
So we're going to get back to this. This is very good. But I just wanted to show something really quick, right? So right here, hopefully you can see it. Let me take this off so you can see it better real quick. All right. So look, I asked the question in Google, simple. Did Obamacare increase premiums? It says the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, led to an initial increase in average premiums in the individual insurance market due to new mandates for comprehensive coverage, such as essential health benefits and guarantee issue regardless of pre-existing conditions. However, for many enrollees, those costs were offset by subsidies, premium tax credits, which means what? More taxes. So I asked another question. Hold on. All right, let me see. Take this out real quick. So I asked, did Obamacare increase taxes? Yes. Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare, raised taxes through several new taxes and fees, including a net investment income tax, an additional Medicare tax, and what's that say? An excess tax on high-cost employer-sponsored health plans, the Cadillac tax. These taxes were designed to help fund the ACA subsidies and programs, and some were levied on individuals and businesses with higher incomes and higher value health plans. So my whole thing is, this, when they sit there and say that these things, aren't hurting or raising premiums and stuff like that, and mind you, I don't take Google I take it for what it is, because sometimes I know stuff and I'll Google it, and they'll have their little biasness in it. It's Google, whatever. But for the most part, you've seen that it said it raised premiums and it raised taxes. So the Affordable Care Act is a bust. And I've showed on here, Democrats even said that Obamacare failed. So it's no but behind it. It failed. And right now, they're trying to save their asses by just passing an extension. That's it. They're not really trying to make this affordable for people at all. And this is why Trump is saying, instead of big insurance companies cornering the market on health insurance, let's give the money directly to the people and let them choose their own plans. Because everything that Obama said about Obamacare and how you can keep your doctor, how you can, everything that he pretty much said was a lie. You know what I mean? So it's just not affordable at all. And they want to make you believe that it is, and it isn't, bro.
Assertion. And really, shame
3
on
years
you
is not going to get passed, so what do you do?
Shame on you for saying that. Because we're fighting. It's not a partisan issue for us. In fact, the states that are most impacted as it relates to an Affordable Care Act tax credit expiration are all Republican states. We're talking about West Virginia, Wyoming, Alaska, Mississippi, right? Tennessee. Over and over and over again, we can go through the list. That's why you probably have some Republicans who would sign on if you guys could come up with something that actually looks like a bipartisan deal. Listen, this is not a partisan fight for us. It's a patriotic fight. We're fighting for every constituent, even if Republicans aren't necessarily fighting for their own constituent. We want to find a bipartisan path forward. And that is what we've repeatedly indicated we want to do. Like, we want to sit down and have a reasonable discussion, find common ground to address this issue.
They're lying, bro. Because they already had a chance to come to the table. They already had a chance to come to the table to pass it for a year. And that would have gave them time to be able to bring something that is actually more reasonable. They didn't want to do that. What they tried to do is hold America hostage with the shutdown, hoping that they would get the $1.5 trillion. And like they said before, they knew that this would expire. Joe Biden and them was in office. They didn't care about this issue. No, they always, bro, these people aren't dumb. Understand that, bro. They're strategic in things that they do, even if it sucks, even if it doesn't work, right? Because people are kind of waking up to the bullshit. But still, they use these things to try to just go against Trump and make him look bad. Because if you don't know, people don't know the details of the Affordable Care Act. Nobody cares, bro. They just want health care. It's the same thing with affordability. People don't care how it got there. They just want things to become affordable. Agree. I totally agree. But you have to understand the why we got here matters. And that's what's important for people to understand, and also to understand that things aren't just going to flip overnight. Things have to happen. Things have to be reduced. They have to cut agencies. People have to, unfortunately, be fired or laid off in jobs where we don't need you. You know what I mean? Like, you got to cut the fat, and that means that the government has to shrink. Period. The taxpayers can't subsidize everything, bro. You can't. Like, how people aren't going to be able to get ahead in life, bro, if you're constantly continuing to tax us to death? And that's why Trump, if you see the things that Trump is doing with the One Big Beautiful Bill, with the tariffs, these are America First policies. These are things that directly benefit Americans. Period. You can say what you want. You could nitpick at, things that may, like the HB1 visas. You can nitpick, but overall, that's why even people like Devory Darkins and RJTalks, these are people who keep it real on both sides, right? But even they still agree with Trump for the most part, like I do, because he is coming to the table with real policies that really affect us in a positive way long term, like the tax credit cuts. They want to make you believe that it only benefits the rich and the wealthy. Okay. Anyway, let's finish up with this.
Now, Republicans said in the House they were willing to deal with the Affordable Care Act tax credit issue after the government funding agreement was reached. Well, now the government shutdown is over, and there's still been no conversations with House Republican leaders.
Mike Johnson never said that. The leader never said that. You do have Republicans, though, who would agree with you on something if it was actually bipartisan in nature. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Actually, Mike Johnson actually did say that there was always a plan to specifically deal with the expiration of the Affordable Care Act tax credits. In fact, he said that repeatedly. So I'm not sure what you're referencing.
I think their plan
but
is something that looks more like an
line.
HCA, which I'm guessing you would say is dead on arrival, too. If you wanted to set up these health care plans that are funded instead of going through the ACA, I'm assuming you would say that's dead on arrival, too, because there have been Republicans who've put that forward. Am I wrong in thinking you would not go along with that?
What I'm saying is that what's in front of us is the immediate expiration of the Affordable Care Act tax credits. Republicans have had all year to deal with this issue, and they've refused to do it. So they're the ones who are not interested in finding a resolution to a health care crisis that they've created, including passing a bill that enacted the largest cut to Medicaid in American history. And because of their policies, hospitals, nursing homes, and community-based health centers are closing throughout America, including in rural parts of the country.
Which would why it would be nice to see a one-year extension so that none of these things happen immediately and give you all time to actually try and work on bipartisan situations, rather than a 3-year extension that basically kicks it down until the next administration is here. I think both sides need to come together and find some way of getting around this that's not necessarily saying, okay, we're going to spend $350 billion to extend these tax credits without having any way of trying to get at the real problems of what is causing higher premiums, what is causing this inflationary healthcare environment to begin with.
Yeah, what's interesting is that Republicans just spent trillions of dollars to provide their billionaire donors with massive tax breaks. And in that same bill, cut Medicaid by the largest amount in the history of the country, and also ripped $186 billion in nutritional assistance away from hungry children, seniors, and veterans.
See, that's a lie, bro. That's a lie, bro. That's a lie. What Trump did was literally take illegal immigrants off of welfare and being able to get these things. He didn't kick Americans who were getting welfare off. That's a lie, bro. That's a big lie, bro. He kicked able-bodied people, meaning if you're mainly men, that means men. If you're a man and you have 2 legs and 2 arms and you're not disabled and you can actually physically go work, you're not getting welfare. And I agree with that. As a taxpayer, I agree with that. You should not be getting any assistance at all. This should be for women who have children and need help, period. And obviously, you know, people with disabilities and things like that. You know what I mean? Like, what are you talking about? That's a bold-faced lie. And it's like what I said yesterday. They tell the truth, but they put the lies in it. So, yes, is he cutting people off of Medicare? Yes. But is it Americans and people who actually need to get this assistance? No, it's not. And on top of that, everybody was also bitching and complaining because he changed, you know, if you're on welfare, once your kids become a certain age and they go off to school, once your kids are going to school, you have to get a job. You have to, but you can still get it, though. That's the thing. He's saying you can still get welfare, right? But once your kids go to school, you have to go work at least part-time. What's wrong with that? That means every day you get to get up and get your fat ass off of the couch, out of the bed, and go to work for part-time work and still get government assistance. It's not wrong with that, bro. That's my whole thing. They want to make you believe that Donald Trump is just, you know, taking people off and people are going to be homeless and all of this stuff. It's just not true. It's just not true. They just hate the fact that these things are going to happen in the long run within the next, by the time Trump gets out of office, these things will benefit America, period. Taking illegal immigrants off of welfare, period, being able to get housing, food, any of it, will do what in return? Now these people don't have nowhere to go. So either Democrats are going to have to come out of their personal pockets and afford these people a place to live and food, or these people will voluntarily just get out of the country. and then come, if they do want to come in the right way, like every other immigrant in this country who is here, like Zohran Mamdani. Like, these people kill me, bro.
Largest cut to SNAP in American history, but somehow we can't find a dime to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits even for a year, because House Republican leaders have rejected a one-year extension. Rejected it. That's their position, not our position. That's their position.
So what I'm hearing, though, is...
Again, literally, Kaitlan Collins had a town hall with Bernie Sanders and AOC. Kaitlan Collins asked and told AOC that Republicans would be willing to pass the ACA subsidies for another year. And she said, AOC, their leader, we know that's going to be their new leader, she said that that was unacceptable. So when he says this, it's a lie. The fact of the matter is, you guys played games and you fuck around and found out. Period. Okay, you don't want to take it. Cool, fine. Now we're not doing anything. Now we control the situation, which they did the whole time, but they thought that this would work. They thought that all Americans were going to be in an uproar, which some were, right? They were about the SNAP and all that stuff. And they thought that this would affect Donald Trump and make him bite the bullet on that 1.5 trillion, not the 26 billion. Remember, that came after. It was $1.5 trillion of taxpayer money that they wanted to use for illegal immigrants because it would, this is what people don't understand, it would have undercut what Donald Trump already put in the One Big Beautiful Bill, which is able-bodied men. Once your kids become of a certain age, women and men who are on welfare will have to go to work for at least part-time in order to continue to get welfare. Ultimately, what he wants to do is make you see the light, which is you don't need the government to take care of you and your kids. That should be the real policy for Democrats and Republicans, and that's what they should be pushing, that the government shouldn't be taking care of you and your kids. You shouldn't be dependent on the government, because what happens when the government did what it did not too long ago when the Democrats shut it down? Everybody became worried about being able to feed their children, even though we know a lot of them sell their food stamps and do all that type of stuff, but that's neither here nor there. Democrats shut down the government knowing that you wouldn't get your SNAP benefits. So they're able to play with you. Why let people play with you when you can just go work, take care of your kids? And we can also come together on the fact that we shouldn't even be paying taxes, bro. A lot of these taxes, to be honest. To me, I think that's a real issue that we need to come together on, is that we shouldn't be paying all of these taxes. If we go out here and work, bust our ass, we should keep 95% of our fucking money, at least 90%. Them taking 20, 30%, even more of your money that you work for, bro, how is that fair? Tell me how that makes sense. But that's what you want to continue to keep voting for. You want to continue to keep voting for people like Hakeem Jeffries, Brandon Johnson, Kamala Harris, all of these different Democrats who want to keep taxing you and keep taking your money. And look at the uprising in Chicago because of Brandon Johnson, bro.
Is that there is no middle ground. There is no bipartisanship. This is, at this point, us versus them, and we are not going to agree on anything.
No, that's absolutely not the case. We've repeatedly said we will sit down anytime, any place with any of our Republican colleagues. We'll even go back to the White House to sit down with President Trump. We've repeatedly offered to do it, but they've refused. Donald Trump spent more time on the golf course during the longest government shutdown in American history than he did talking to Democrats on Capitol Hill who represent half the country. He has no interest in actually trying to find a bipartisan solution, because the Republican approach, which is failing now, the American people know the country is moving in the wrong direction. The cost of living crisis is out of control. But the Republican approach since day one of this presidency has been my way or the highway. Everybody.
And it should be, dog. And I'm going to end it with that, bro, because this dude is a fucking clown, bro. A straight clown, bro. All of them are clowns, but I don't see what y'all see in these people. I'm going to be honest. I don't see how they represent you properly. They don't represent me. This is why I want to get out of New Jersey, a Democratic state, bro, because these people, I got to find this fucking clip too, bro. I wanted to show this. I forgot all about it, bro. Hold on, bro. I don't even. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Damn. Yo, bro. I just really don't understand what people really see in this, bro. Hold on. All right, here we go. Let me play this really quick. Just to show you how much, like, this is this stuff that you guys are voting on, and I don't understand why, bro. Do you not have, you know, do you not have more integrity, bro? Like, do you not care about, what these people are pushing on your kids? That's the main thing for me. Like, I want to raise my kids in a proper environment, bro. I don't want things being able to be forced down my kids' throat because y'all think that it's fucking nice. But listen to this, man.
Parents have the right to opt their kids out of LGBTQ-related content in the same way that right now they can be removed from sex ed and health curriculum classes.
Look, I believe that parents have the right to oversee their children's education. I would push in LGBTQ education into our schools. Parents have a right to opt out of a lot of things, but this is not an area where they should be opting out, because this is an area of understanding the background of people throughout our nation. And right now we see, for example, at the Naval Academy, an erasure of history.
Bro, do you hear this? She was the newly elect, believe governor, if I'm not mistaken, of New Jersey. Doesn't even matter what she is. But the fact of the matter is that she said that this should be pushed on your kids, period. And they will do it in New Jersey. They have done it already, bro. They have done it already. So when you're at work, and mind you, yeah, are there going to be families who are, aligned with these type of things? Of course. But for the most part, bro, this is a 90-10 issue. 90% of people don't want to send their kids off to school, and they're being programmed with this type of shit. I don't want my sons going to school being told that they could be women, bruh. I don't care how you feel about it. I just don't. Hold on, man. What the fuck? How much shit just drop like that? Oh, they don't want me talking about this. They don't want me talking about the LGBTQ. Even though I'm not really talking about them. I'm just saying, like, I don't want this stuff to be pushed in schools, period, bro. But let me see if I can get this back. God damn. I gotta figure out what's going on, because this joint been acting up these last 2 days, man. I don't understand why it's doing this. But anyway, that's the end of the show anyway. But real quick, man, hopefully I can get it off and not cut me out. But like, seriously though, bro, we don't want our kids to go to school and have to be having these things pushed down their throats. It has nothing to do with curriculum. It has nothing to do with physical education, health, science, math, social studies. It has nothing to do with that. That type of stuff is what you want to teach that stuff to your kids. Teach it to them at home. Period. I don't want no teacher teaching my son garbage. Period. Because that's what it is. It's garbage. That's your belief. That's not every parent's belief. Period. And it shouldn't be in schools at all, bro. And this is just, it's crazy, bro. But this is the time that we come into America where we're dealing with these type of things, man. And it's honestly, it's scary times, man. This is what it is. But these politicians are pathetic, bro. This is the type of stuff that they're pushing for. They just want to push propaganda down your kids' throats, our throats, and raise your taxes, take your money, and what are you going to do about it? ultimately, when these people get in office and they get the power that they want to have, and you know, they say they're going to tax you, they're going to do whatever. Look what Joe Biden did. They want to keep talking about the affordability crisis, but Joe Biden and his administration is the reason why things became so unaffordable, period. It's just the truth. Trump inherited it. The same way Obama's economy was good, and Trump inherited that and kept it good up until, obviously, COVID happened. But even then, it still was, you know, things bounced back. But Joe Biden ruined the country for 4 straight years, bro. Let millions of people into this country who were soaking up American resources, period. I don't care what you say. This is a fact. This is a fact. So you want to keep voting for people who want to damage the country and, you know, hurt Americans and call it patriotic and call it democracy, then you're foolish, bro. I'm just being honest. You're just stupid, bro. I'm not a scholar. I don't claim to be a scholar, but I have eyes and I have ears, and I'm able to see what's going on, and I'm able to spit out bullshit and, you know, take in the good. And right now, Donald Trump is the best thing for the country. He's bouncing a lot of things back. He's turning the military around, not, you know, taking all of the LGBTQ stuff out of it. Come on, bro. Stop. Stop, bro. Certain things, bro, you just got to say to yourself, like, come on. You're going too far. You're going too far, bro. Come on, let's be honest, bro. And let's be honest, bro. I wouldn't even be able to speak like this when Joe Biden was in office. A lot of people wasn't, bro. A lot of people did not agree with a lot of things that were going on, and they dealt with it, had no choice because they were scared to get canceled. Now, people can speak their minds, whether you believe it or not, and not have to worry about being canceled for it, bro. You know what I mean? Like, come on, bro. Talk about free speech, but, you know, you got to agree. I've watched the discomfort on people's faces when they came face to face with certain things that they know for a fact that they don't agree with, bro. It's not that, listen, bro, it's not that it's like on some hatred type of thing. It's just that, bro, what you do in the bedroom, what you do in your personal time and things like that have nothing to do with me. I don't care. But when you start bringing it into my life, when my children start coming home talking about, Dad, you know, my teacher told me I could be a woman if I wanted. Like, I seen like disgusting stuff, bro. You know what I mean? They're painting little boys' nails in school. Come on, bro. What does that have to do with school? Nothing, bro. Come on, man. Stop. Shit make me mad, bro. It makes me mad. Just being honest. But anyway, man, that's the show for today, man. If you fuck with the show, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share button, comment down below if you agree, disagree, doesn't matter. But I appreciate everybody that tapped in with me. And yeah, man, we'll be back at it tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Probably gonna have to go in late tomorrow, to be honest. Probably gonna be on Pride like 10:30, 11. It's gonna be a late night. It's the weekend, so fuck it. We're going to tap in late tomorrow. But, yo, man, it's your boy SL550. This is the Never Gonna Lose Again podcast. Until next time, I'm out.
Millionaire thoughts, billionaire dreams. I know niggas who played ball and gave it up for lean.
Millionaire thoughts, billionaire dreams. But my account in overdraft, I'm about to scream.
Rich man greed,
a poor man prayers.
Every man bleeds,
but look how God made us.
Too many losses, it's only right that we win. Yeah, I made a promise I'm never gonna lose again.